Hi everybody, welcome to Daily Space. I'm your producer Susie and I am streaming for Pamela today. She's feeling a little under the weather, not too bad, but she's going to try to cover a launch for you later tonight. So I jumped in to fill in for her right now. But I think I saw her in the chat, so if you see Star Strider in the chat, that means you can ask her questions. I do think I saw her earlier in there, but welcome everybody. Hopefully you are having a good day. Yeah, Pamela is a trooper for sure. So I'm covering now so she can rest a little bit and maybe she'll be able to cover that link later. That launch later today. Hey, we're a team. We tag team. Plus, I had to show y'all my hair. So for those of you who don't know, we had a fundraiser back in December for our streaming stuff, and we were trying to raise enough money to be able to go all year this year without fundraising. We didn't raise quite that much, but we did get very close to $10,000. And so what I had done was put out a challenge that said if we got to $10,000 before the end of January, I would go and color my hair purple. Well, I went yesterday and actually got my hair pink because we hit the $10,000. It was supposed to be more purple. It just kind of didn't quite turn out purple, but I'm really in love with the pink. But I can tweak it a little bit. I'll probably go a little more the color of my shirt. I'm going to tweak it this week a little when I go back to my hairdresser because she said, come back if it starts to wash out a little too fast. But thank you for everyone who donated because this means you've got us above $10,000. And we really appreciate that. That covers us for at least a quarter of the year without us having to do major fundraising. And so we are working on additional plans to do more fundraising. But every bit of that money goes to support me, Annie, Dr. Pamela, science, and bringing you shows like this. So every bit of that support goes to help all of us. And for me, that means I have one kid in college and one kid getting ready to go to college. And so I greatly appreciate being able to be paid. And I know Annie appreciates it too. It goes to buy snacks for the pups. It goes to help Dr. Pamela be able to do more and more science. And I'll tell y'all, and I'm going to embarrass her a little, she does a lot of this work without getting paid. So the more that we can bring in, the more she can actually get paid for her work. And that is amazing. She goes without getting paid so that Annie and I can. That's the kind of person you're dealing with here, and I will brag on her all day long, especially when she's sick, and make her feel better. So every bit of your support goes to help all of us. So thank you. And I gladly went and got my hair colored. And hopefully you guys will enjoy it too. This color makes me very happy, so I'm a little giggly today. But yeah, let's get into some science now. All right. No, we have not missed talking about the satellite collision yet. That's coming. All right. Let me get over here and get to my slides. All right. I'm not sure why my slide's not showing the right shape, but we'll just go with it for now. Let me get my script pulled up because my iPad went to sleep. Thankfully, Dr. Pamela writes these scripts for me, which is fabulous because she knows the science way better. I just know it by osmosis for being around and reading press releases and stuff like that. So, okay. So, I am not in Illinois, but Dr. Pamela is, and she wrote this script. So I'm going to read it as if I'm in Illinois with her, enjoying this winter weather. So for our North American team, here in Illinois, it's been drizzling for about half a centimeter of snow a week, for week after week after week. For at least 10 days that feels like 10 weeks anyway. So when you're in the coldest, grossest time of the year, it's easy to get excited about a little bit of sun. And it is with both awe and amusement that we share with you the newest images from the newest solar telescope. So this week, we received no less than 3 press releases announcing that the Inouye Telescope on Haleakala has begun to capture images of the sun. This 4-meter telescope allows solar scientists to see fine details on the sun like never before. In the new images, which you can see at dailyspace.org, we can see cell-like structures that are the size of Texas or France. And these images with 3 times smaller resolution, it's not going to let me show the video, with 3 times higher resolution than any prior instrument can resolve features as small as Manhattan Island. So this has allowed the imaging of features as small as 20 miles or 30 kilometers across. Yep, that's just going to give me a little trouble. All right. So anyway, you can see a still picture here. I will go and try to locate the video and put it in the blog post so you can see it. But yeah, you can see here on the image these really cool cell-like structures that they spotted on the sun. So this new telescope looks at the sun in the way that is fundamentally different from what we do in our space-based observatories, which are smaller and have larger fields of view that focus on the sun's roiling outer layers. And they often view the sun in different wavelengths or colors of light that can't be seen from Earth. With this multimeter scope, scientists are focusing in on the details of the sun's magnetic field effects at the surface, where convective cells roil like the surface of churning oil. And you can see here, there's a lot of detail. That is pretty zoomed in, and that is pretty amazing. I can't say I've ever seen a photo of the sun that looked like that. I'm used to the zoomed out pictures where you can kind of see the little splotches on there that are often the dark spots or the coronal mass ejections, things like that. So this is a very different picture. So these weren't the only folks with sun on their minds. The Johns Hopkins APL team are working with the Parker Solar Probe to process their data to reveal the pressure wave within the plasma within the solar winds. If you were able to survive the harsh environment explored by the Parker Solar Probe, you wouldn't be able to hear this with your ears because the solar wind is simply far too thin. But these Parker sensors are sensitive enough to catch the whistling and the humming of our sun. In the audio file I'm about to play, you'll hear a processed version of the pressure waves in the hot charged plasma that makes up the solar corona. Okay, so while I switch screens real quick. Okay, you guys should be able to hear that. Give me a thumbs up if you can hear it. So as you can hear, sorry about that. I muted because my dog was barking. As you can hear, they caught some really amazing sounds with the Parker Solar Probe. And no, there's not dogs on the sun. That's my dog in the background. Sorry about that. I was in a different screen and did not see that I was muted. Now I understand how that happens. So anyway, I will have this in our blog post at dailyspace.org so you can go and you can listen to even more of it and hear all of these amazing sounds. Okay, now for the last story, you were asking about the satellite collision. Well, we would like to share that the satellites did not crash over Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania last night, but they did come fairly close. These two aged chunks of metal, the esteemed IRAS Space Telescope and the military satellite GGSE-4, are orbiting roughly 500 miles or 900 kilometers up. And they've been dead longer than some of you that are listening out there have been alive. GGCE-4 stopped working in 1972 and IRAS in 1983. Since they are dead, there is nothing anyone can do to keep them from hitting each other or anything else. Tracking stations on Earth, including the Australian National University Space Environment Center, noted that these two were going to pass within 15 to 30 meters of each other. And due to lack of information on how the craft and their appendages were oriented, it's unclear if they might still tangle and collide. They didn't this time, but if they had and the weather had been clear, this collision would have actually been visible. With more than 21,000 objects larger than 10 centimeters orbiting the Earth, it's only a matter of time before remarkable and highly visible collisions happen. In 2009, 2 communication satellites, an active Iridium communications satellite and a Russian military satellite, collided. It was thought these two would miss, and Iridium made the choice to not move their satellite to increase the safety margin because they wanted to save fuel. This was a mistake, and today a lot more efforts are put into tracking spacecraft. But as I said, the 2 spacecraft that just missed each other were dead, and there was nothing that could be done. When the big collision happens, this could cause a chain reaction, with the debris flying off and creating high-speed debris in unknown orbits. And this is the real problem with collisions. The debris can wreck entire orbital regions, as the chunks of former spacecraft form rings around our Earth. So far, no boom. But a boom will come. So let's hope it's far in the future for satellites and very, very soon for Betelgeuse. Okay, that rounds out our show for today. Let me do the quick wall of text, and then we will take your questions. Dr. Pamela is in the chat, so go ahead and start formulating your questions. And I will go ahead and read our credits a bit. The Daily Space is written by Pamela Gay, produced by me, Susie Murph, and is a product of the Planetary Science Institute, a 501c3 nonprofit dedicated to exploring the solar system and beyond. We are here thanks to the generous contributions of people like you. So if you'd like to support us, join us over at patreon.com/CosmoQuestX. So now we'll take your questions. So go ahead and put your questions in the chat. Try to put the purple star emoji in there to let us know. And anything I can't answer, hopefully Dr. Pamela can while she's in there. And then we will come back. We'll come back and we will go over the last little bit of our wall of text at the end. All right, so let's see if we've got. Freckled Chemist says, "You are Susie, I never saw you before." Hi, Freckled Chemist. Yes, I'm producer Susie. I'm usually not seen until recently where I have joined the streaming team. So you will see me occasionally. Yeah, I've been behind the scenes since 2016. Before we were on Twitch, actually. I do a lot of production stuff. Sorry, I have a really itchy nose now because I'm trying to stream, of course. All right, let's see. I'm scrolling back to see. We have some questions back here. Of course. I have to have an itchy nose when I'm on here. So Larry Weird asked about the picture of the sun. That picture has a res of 18 miles. Is that per pixel? Hopefully Dr. Pamela can answer that one for us in there. I'm not sure exactly what the resolution is. I know it said like down to 20 miles or 30 kilometers on that. I'm not sure what the picture itself has, but I know that the telescope has a really good resolution. Haney's War asks, what are the lighter stringy structures? That's another good one. And Haney also said, did they use adaptive optics for this? And see, we're hitting up Dr. Pamela in the chat, so hopefully she will know more details. About the satellite collision, Haney's Warwarp asks, will this be a recurring problem with these two, or is this a rare occurrence? I think these particular satellites, the IRAS satellite and the what was the other one, the GGCE4, I think they may have a chance to bump into each other again if they are that close in the orbit. Seems like it might be a bit of a continuing problem, especially if they get really close to each other. They could start definitely tangling with each other. Let's see if we've got some answers. Haney also asked, can the government sanction a satellite to down specific problematic satellites. I suppose that is a possibility. That's hard. Figuring out a way to get rid of satellites is a bit of a challenge. I mean, the easiest thing is to try to send some sort of spacecraft up to catch them. That's the easiest thing. That's not an easy thing. But we don't have anything that could do that right now. Some kind of scoop to scoop up space junk. That's the only thing I can think of. So, yeah, that would... If we tried to destroy the satellites, you'd end up with a lot smaller debris. And then you would have even more problems with the little micro punctures in spacecraft trying to go through that path of that debris going in and out. And so if you've got people on spacecraft that have to go through that ring of debris, you've got a whole lot more chances for those little micro punctures in the spacecraft. So you want to try to keep it in bigger chunks so you can track it. At least that's my understanding. Let's see. Michael T. Meyer says, do we know when the next opportunity for those satellites will occur? I do not, but I imagine the people tracking it can tell when that's going to come up. So I'll have to go look at that article and see if they mention anything about it. We do know that they are definitely tracking them. They are definitely in the big enough to track and make sure we know where they are and where they're going to fall category. So I imagine that it's already been predicted and plotted out. Hopefully it'll be a little while. It will depend on how fast they're orbiting. And if Dr. Pamela says anything that contradicts me, she's right, because she's the scientist. I'm the producer. So I'm just spitballing a little bit here. This DPI 209 says, of course I still love you. Are you talking about catching satellites with the barge? I don't think you could capture them with the barge. But let's see. Dr. Pamela says she doesn't know on the adaptive optics and she says the bright areas, I think that was Haney's question, the bright areas on the sun are magnetic activity. So basically you're kind of seeing a magnetic map of the sun and all of the various field differences that's on there. Veronica Kerr says if we could send little pushers up, maybe they could push them to deorbit. Yes, that would be something nice if you had little pushing engines and you could push those satellites into a decaying orbit where they would burn up on re-entry. That's probably another simple way we could do that now. Simple being relative. We have the tech to do something like that, I think. It's just, it's space. It's a challenge, and catching a moving object is hard. Catching a moving object with another moving object, it's kind of like hitting a bullet with a bullet. But if you could attach something to it that basically gave it another little engine and a little push, you might be able to put it into some sort of a degrading orbit that would burn up on reentry. And you might even be able to control where it burns up over, like the Pacific Ocean, our favorite place for things to burn up. Let's see. Freckled Chemist says, I imagine a big carbon fiber net dragging behind a rocket. Yeah, that is a cool picture. I don't know that that would work, but we're going to have to figure out some way to deal with space junk, because there's just getting to be too much up there, and the more that's up there, the more that will bang into other things that are up there. And while the movie Gravity was not realistic remotely in the fact that you cannot see all those different spacecraft from each other, debris hitting things is actually a problem. And you don't want to leave a whole bunch of debris out there to run into other things, because you can't control it, and debris can be small enough it's difficult to track. You can't jump out of the way. Like the ISS, honestly, it can't move that quickly, that fast to avoid a whole bunch of little stuff. So if you had a stream of stuff coming around into that orbit, that would be bad. That was mostly a fictional movie, because most things are not in those orbits. But debris is bad. So let's see. What would they hope to see with a better image of the sun's surface? This is from Hanny. And is it just for better star models? That's a good question for Dr. Pamela. Kerbal says, has the ISS been hit? I know it's been moved several times for conjunctions. I don't think it's ever been hit by anything big. It's been hit by small things. Little things come through, like, all the time. Hanny's Word says, I really like that movie. Every movie has one or two conceits. Yes, Gravity was a good movie. That is very true. It just was a little misleading on where things are in orbit around our planet. But the movie was good, and it impressed upon you the danger of space junk. That's for sure. Let's see. Deorbiting depends on the orbit. Low Earth orbit is relatively easy, but middle or high Earth orbit might be even easier to just let them stay out in orbit, because otherwise it might have to move through heavy traffic low Earth orbit. Yeah, low Earth orbit's getting a little more and more crowded. See Starlink for that. A lot of things. So if you have something that has died, like another satellite, you may just want to send it out to some sort of a parking orbit, farther out of the path of everything else, where you can keep track of where it is. That may be the simpler thing. Hopefully Dr. Pamela will say if I am just completely talking off the top of my head and not making sense, but I'm trying really hard to make sense. Trekker Kev asks, the new Inouye Solar Telescope is not on Mauna Kea? No, it's on Haleakala, which is my favorite volcano to say the name of. I'm a big fan of Phil Plait, the bad astronomer, and one of his favorite things to say is, holy Haleakala. So that's where I learned how to pronounce the name of that volcano. Thank you, Hanny, for saying I'm doing great. I am science adjacent, so I try to absorb as much as I can. I'm a geek. I like it anyway, so I try to pay attention. So Michael T. Myers says, there are security and legal problems around trying to move other people's satellites around. If you have a device that can move an arbitrary satellite, you could use that as a weapon. You also need the permission of the owner of the satellite to move it. This is very true. If somebody gets a device that can go up there and move things around and starts messing with stuff, yeah, that is actually pretty dangerous, and governments and entities would start using that against each other, and that would cause chaos, because then you could theoretically drop a satellite anywhere you wanted it. It's not a good plan. Geostationary Earth orbit usually goes to a graveyard orbit, DPI 209 says. Yeah, there's an orbit out there where they tend to park all of the things that are dead that they don't want to try to burn up, or doesn't have a way to bring back and burn up. So they try to put it out somewhere so we know where it is and it stays out of the way. Geeks rule. I agree, Paranor. Okay, am I missing any questions? Did I miss anybody's? Oh, Hanny asked, Dr. Pamela, Hanny asked about what do you want to learn, basically, with the new pictures of the sun? Is it just for better modeling of the stars? So let's see. And Broken Symmetry says to Michael T. Meyer, the Georgia satellites sang, don't hand me no lines and keep your hands to yourself. This is very true, especially when it comes to real satellites. Don't mess with others. Try not to hit them. Try to pay attention to where things are. Try to move out of the way so you don't hit somebody else's. It's getting more crowded up there. People are going to have to start playing nicer. Because all it takes is one crazy thing in a very crowded orbit turning into debris, and you will have a lot of chaos. And Larry Weird says, changes in orbit with a handheld fire extinguisher are harder than you imagine. Yeah. Okay, good. Dr. Pamela got that one for Hanny. She said that seeing magnetic stuff that affects the higher levels of the sun, that's one of the goals of the new telescope. Sorry, not the Parker Solar Probe, the Inouye Telescope. Let's see. Anybody have any other questions or anything I missed? Because it does jump around here, so I apologize if I miss anything that you guys have asked, or if I've missed reading Dr. Pamela's answers. I do try to catch everything, but yeah, a lot of moving parts when you're streaming. I definitely appreciate a challenge, and I haven't even done the complicated stuff like showing videos and things. Today I did do audio for the first time, though. I'm proud of that. It worked. Yeah, I'm used to doing all my stuff behind the scenes and where nobody's watching me do it. So that is it's a bit of a challenge trying to adjust things while live and talking to you all. So I'm trying. Matchbox T23 says, is anyone familiar with the terms the interplanetary internet and delay-tolerant networking? And if so, how are they used to enable communication between Earth and space? So, Dr. Pamela, that sounds vaguely familiar to me, but I'm not quite sure why. I'm guessing maybe it is having to do with figuring out how to communicate like between here and Mars. A delay-tolerant network. I mean, you're going to have at least a 20-minute delay, I think, between here and Mars if you had humans on Mars that you needed to talk to. So it sounds like these are terms where people are theorizing how you would make an internet and a communications network between places with a delay. So hopefully she'll have an answer here in a few minutes. Michael T. Myers says to Larry Weird, you were so right. The first time the U.S. tried to dock spacecraft manually, they couldn't work out how to do it. Fortunately, Buzz Aldrin, superhero, had a PhD in orbital science and he could work out how to do it. Yeah, they were literally up there on those Apollo missions. On some of them were on the Mercury missions before. I'm trying to remember if Buzz was in the Mercury missions. They were up there doing the math. They had pencils and pieces of paper, and they were doing the orbital math on paper to do these things. It's amazing. Humans are amazing and bonkers, and we had some incredible people out there flying by the seat of their pants in those missions. That's for sure. Thankfully, we had very smart people up there and on the ground. So let's see. And Dr. Pamela says we're trying to get more faces and voices so we are safer from illness, vacation, and travel here on the stream. So we're going to be working on getting a few more people on here for you. I was the first additional voice that came on after Dr. Pamela and Annie. And so we're going to be doing some testing. Hopefully we'll get our Instro to come on and do some more stuff because he is our resident ComSat expert. He does a lot of the background work for the rocket roundups on Wednesdays. It's amazing. So we rely on him quite a lot. And I think Paranor is going to do a little bit of testing too, our super moderator. And we will see. Larry Weird says, is a steely-eyed satellite man in the house? Hopefully we'll get our Instro here soon. We should call him that for sure. And cosmic rays hurt brains. Yes, it's very true. Brains are for thinking, not for feeding zombies. And cosmic rays hurt brains. You're what? No, you're going to test a little bit later because we might be getting you to help do a little streaming, Paranor. Don't worry. It's all good. I never say bad things about you because you're awesome. Let's see. Hanny's Warwarp says, I wonder what type of people SpaceX will send on the Mars missions. Steely-eyed Mars explorers. That's what they're going to do. Hopefully, they will find themselves like some folks like from The Martian. And of course, I can't think of his name right now. But people that can think on their feet and come up with creative solutions because stuff is going to happen that there's no way we're going to expect what's going to happen. There's always going to be problems and craziness. And so we're going to need people that are smart, that can think on their feet, that can keep themselves calm in stressful situations, and that clearly know the risks of what they're going into before they go. As a psychologist by training, for me, I would be fascinated to talk and try to figure out what kind of people go there, because you're also dealing with people who are probably very ambitious and very good at covering up any potential weaknesses they might have. So that's a challenge too. I really think they're going to have to, do more testing where they put people in simulation situations and basically make them have to deal with each other in closed spaces for long periods of time, because you're going to need to see how they react to each other. But that's just hard. It's very hard to simulate a situation when you know you can just walk outside. These are the psychological questions I have, because figuring out who's going to go where, it's a big deal. And that's one of the things I really enjoyed, the Mars program that's on the Nat Geo channel. One of the things they tackled was, what kind of people do you send? And some people are more stable than others, and you don't need an unstable person going on your space mission. You're going to have enough problems. So, yeah, I hope Mars does not become the new prison, Veronica Cure says. That would be a very expensive prison. I don't think that will ever happen. Starstrider says, read Red Mars. Yes. Kim Stanley Robinson's Red Mars, Blue Mars, Green Mars books are fantastic. They're long, so be prepared for a long read, but they're amazing. Let's see. Mars needs oncologists. Yes. The fact that you don't have a magnetic, a magnetic field around the planet means that you are going to be at much higher risk for cancers and things from the radiation. So Mars will need oncologists. Michael T. Meyer says, I expect SpaceX is most likely to send engineers initially. There's a lot of infrastructure to set up. Yes, there will be a lot of engineers, but there will be engineers who have passed all the tests that all of us on Earth can come up with and gone through every hurdle, and we will do our very best to find the perfect people to send. They won't be perfect, but hopefully we'll have some that are, they have the heart of explorers and are willing to go through tough situations and figure things out. Let's see. We have a lot of chatting back and forth about books to read. The Moon is a harsh mistress. The Moon was a prison in that book, Larry Weird says. Haney's Warwick says, the medical guide for Mars astronauts would be an interesting read. It would be a lot about protecting yourself from radiation. That is one of the biggest things with Mars. Now that we can find water easier, radiation is our big deal. Larry Weird says, gravity wells are for suckers. Now you sound like you're from The Expanse. That's for sure. I am reading. I know, I'm sorry. I'm catching random comments as they go by. So I apologize for it not making sense. So Keeper of Maps says, most communications use radio waves. However, I believe there have been some experiments using lasers for satellites flying in close proximity to each other. Might have been a JAXA experiment. So if anybody knows what experiment that was, you can feel free to let us know. You can let us know in the chat, or you can let us know over in Discord if there's an article or something, because that sounds kind of interesting. Let's see. Matchbox T23 says, is DTN routing conducted in space? If so, what protocols are used? That's a good question. I don't know. Dr. Pamela might know that, but that may very well be a better question for our instro whenever he's around next. He might know more of that sort of thing. We'll see if somebody answers in the chat. That one I don't know. And Matchbox 23, yes, you do have very technical questions. They're good ones, though. They're good. We just may not have the knowledge base right now, but we can try to find the answers for you. We have very knowledgeable fans in our chat, as you can see. So either it's something maybe Dr. Pamela can look up, or maybe our Instro will see it later and come back. He's not on today, but he's our satellite guy. He's communication satellites and that kind of stuff. So that might be a question he could answer if Dr. Pamela doesn't know. Yeah, you can definitely ask in the Slack channel or our Discord. We have the weekly Space Hangout Slack channels, and then we also have our CosmoQuest Discord. And I think Paranormal can probably drop the links for that in here. I see the Discord link already up there. You can join our Discord, and also if you want to join the weekly Space Hangout crew, we have Slack there. I believe all the links are below the video here on our Twitch page. There we go. And there's the link in chat, the weekly Space Hangout crew. It's a group of fans that help support not just the weekly Space Hangout show, but basically everything we do, because we're a big community, and so it's a great place to go and talk to other fans who are interested in a lot of these things that all of us do. And you can see we've got various folks coming up for the weekly Space Hangout. I get to schedule next week's later this afternoon. Dr. Pamela says she doesn't know, so that is a great question we can hit up our Instro for. Join us over at our Discord, Matchbox. Join our Discord, and you can look for our Instro there. And those are the kind of questions he might be able to answer. Dr. Pamela says, this is what I get for bringing up spacecraft. Yeah, whenever we bring up spacecraft, we start getting all these kind of questions. But hopefully we've at least answered some of this stuff. They're good questions. We just may not necessarily have the answers for you today. Yeah, my husband's a programmer too, and he came through, computer engineering and stuff. So I have a glancing knowledge of this kind of stuff from him talking about the stuff he does at work. So I know enough to be slightly dangerous and to know that I don't know more. That's me. Well, all right. I am going to go ahead and call it a day on this. Let me go ahead and read the credits one more time, and then I will get busy making this a blog post and putting up our video over on YouTube. So don't forget, if you miss anything here on twitch.tv, you can find us over at youtube.com/c/CosmoQuest. We archive everything over there because it only stays on Twitch about a week. Less if we have a lot of videos going up during the week. But over on YouTube, we keep everything. And we have all 40 hours, I believe, of the Hangout-a-thon in a playlist over there if you want to go back and see our amazing guests we had during that. I finally got them all up. It took a little while, 40 hours of video. That took a little processing. Let's see. Anybody else going on here? Okay. And once again, if you would like to support us, go over to patreon.com/CosmoQuestX. Every bit, every subscription, every dollar you give helps us to bring you more science. So thank you. And with that, we will let you go today. Dr. Pamela is going to be back later this afternoon, barring any internet snafus, to bring you a launch. What kind of launch is it? Is it the one from New Zealand? Was it one of those Rocket Lab launches that I think I saw? Anybody who wants to tell me what launch it is in the chat, that would be great. But I think it's one of those. Yeah, Rocket Lab. So it's the little rockets from New Zealand, which are super cool. So those are fun to watch. So I'm not sure what time that is. I think it's later tonight. But Just watch. Basically follow this channel and you'll get a notification. And then if you would like to subscribe, we would greatly appreciate it. If you would like to go over and subscribe to our YouTube channel, please do. We only need about 30 more people to subscribe and a few hundred hours more videos watched, and we can start getting ad revenue over there, which helps us support us. So I will beg until we get enough people subscribed over there. So if you have a bunch of Gmail accounts sitting around, feel free to go and use each one of those and subscribe to our CosmoQuest channel over on YouTube. Yes, the Rocket Lab rockets are huggable, and it's going to be at 7 p.m. Eastern time tonight, so watch for that. Dr. Pamela will be here probably a little bit before that to start streaming, so you will have puppy goodness and cool rockets that you can hug. All right, we'll talk to y'all later. Y'all have a great day. Bye-bye.